Berlin has many things in common with the rest of the world. Even day begins with the sun. To some people, this may be a surprise. People of this city only in political terms. Still, is it any wonder? For after all, West Berlin and its problems have made headlines ever since the end of the war. The free fought for freedom, has lived through small and large blockades, resisted communist threats and pressures, empty promises and tempting lures. But there's another side to this city, and that's the purpose of this particular film. Despite all, men get up and go to work, they have trouble with their bosses and argue with their wives. Meals are prepared, consumed, and produce gastritis. For some people, the tragedy is a broken heart. For others, just the loss of a football match. In these respects, Berlin has much in common with the world on both sides of the wall, on both sides of the Atlantic. What does a typical day really look like for Berlin? Well, let's find out. The question is, where to begin? For this is a city of more than 2 million people, and with problems all of their own. Not only problems, but dreams and hope for a better world to come. What do the next 24 hours hold in store? There will be tears, surprises, and disappointments. Some will marry, and others will part. Some will be born, and others will die. Some will only be hurt in car accidents. They don't know it yet, nor do the drivers, although they should, for the way they drive. But that's another story, and we've got things to do. And moreover, the sun is rising. But not only the sun. For most, this is the dawn of a new day. For others, the end of a hard day's night, or a lost weekend, perhaps. But each to his own, and why should everything revolve around the sun? After all, the sun doesn't spin around us. While one chases the night, another says morning prayers. And under the town hall clock, still others prepare for market day. Like most big cities, Berlin enjoys a highly organized and modern form of traffic chaos. While there are all kinds of congestions, the best way to avoid those caused by the expansion of the Underground Railway is to, yes, travel by underground, which sometimes runs on the surface and is here seen traveling overhead. This is not only lacking in confusion, but gets you to the far end of the city, our next stop, in the shortest possible time. And moreover, you avoid this. Yes, this is still Berlin, a city with about 850 farms and some 10,400 cultivated acres. But Berlin, of course, is mainly dependent on food supplies from West Germany. Nevertheless, everyone here joins in the fight for self-sufficiency. Yes, even the chickens, which last year produced over 25 million eggs. And where do they all go? Well, one is now on its way to someone who obviously fought. In the meantime, city employees are rushing to work. No one wants to miss the first coffee break. But not only are the adults an eager lot, like those in New York, Paris, or London, just can't wait for school to open. Education here is spelled with a capital E. Everyone reads the morning newspaper, and those who can't just pretend. It's just 9 o'clock. The Berliner, incidentally, has a great and infectious sense of humor. I know this, for I have watched him for many years. My name, by the way, is Mike Berenson, a Canadian here in Berlin since the end of the war. Above all, the Berliner works hard. He likes good food and has an eye for modern beauty. And speaking of modern beauty, this is a youth hostel. The Tempelhof Airport is always an exciting place, so let's drop in for a quick visit. Unlike others in Europe, Berlin's main airport is in the city proper and only minutes from the heart of things. Millions of air passengers have experienced this advantage, and also Berlin's proximity to dozens of European cities. Hanover in 45 minutes, and Frankfurt in 80, and London and Paris in a couple of hours, more or less. About 20 minutes from this bus station is Berlin's strangest landmark, an artificial and growing mountain, a sort of do-it-yourself consisting of building debris and war rubble. While anything but the Bavarian Alps, it is Berlin's winter playground, with sleigh runs, a ski jump, and all. But life consists of more than play. There is work to be done. By men, by women, and by machines. Behind the machines stand engineers, men and women who have been trained in institutes such as Berlin's University of Technology. In all, West Berlin has more than 100 institutes of higher learning, making this city a focal point of education and culture. Perhaps the best known of these is the Freie University, which was founded during the blockade. While some learn to build bridges, others are just happy to attend a riding school. The important thing, of course, is education. It's a picturesque scene and a pity to leave, but we've just got to move on to our next point of call. Berlin is a versatile town, and there's so much to be seen. Things ranging from the production of steel at the one end to mineral water cures at the other. The problem is merely one of time. Still, we're doing much better than the sightseers who would have to use these buses. For example, they would not be able to see Berlin's Olympic gold medalists. However, Berlin has other champions, perhaps not so celebrated, but champions nevertheless. For example, the winners of an international hairdressing competition. And no less important, at least in specialist circles, Berlin's most prolific cow. In the background are a few of the playboys and some of the envious losers, too. At this hour of the day, the crosstown picture is like that of most big cities. The restaurants take their second breath after the morning rush. The second postal delivery leaves the main branch offices. The still romantic bridal couples ride away in the coach of their dreams. And the building projects begin to take on real and sensible form. Etc., etc. There is no telling what the future will bring. Anything to do with the extensive breeding of carrier pigeons, I wouldn't know. Still, with the Berliners, you can never tell. They've been trained to meet any emergency. Berlin's skyline is forever changing, presenting new markets for the pigeons. But Berlin builds with an eye to the future for a generation that is not yet here. But today's young people are remembered too. Various holiday and recreation schemes help to mitigate such slum conditions that still prevail and, however quaint, are doomed to die. Once upon a time, the organ grinder's music could be heard blocks away, but that was before the machine age. But today, Berlin needs its machines to live and to maintain its position in a world of trade. This city, after all, is the largest production and consumer center between Paris and Moscow. Despite machines, there is still room for the craftsman. Still room for pleasant surroundings. Still room for private initiative in one form or another. West Berlin builds and drinks more than any comparable city. Moreover, both records are principally due to one and the same group of men, and that's no secret. But how they find time for both, that's a secret. And while it's still a man's world, it remains a dog's life. Although Berlin may have its second-hand outdoor markets, it doesn't mean that everything has gone to the dogs. It still has its prominent visitors and, most important, places to get away from it all. Sooner or later, we would have to run into the wall. This is Potsdamer Platz, once the very hub of Berlin's traffic system. Today it but marks the division between two worlds. Two worlds, two ways of life. 5-minute prayers, a wonderful institution for those who can spare the time. There seems to be no end to the things manufactured in West Berlin. Every third cigarette smoked in West Germany is made in this city. These are too. Beer drinking, as you may gather, is a national sport, and everyone joins in the game. The more enthusiastic of the players train whenever possible, and whether standing indoors or sitting outdoors, the rules are just the same. Across the lake is Berlin's most popular swimming beach. Here the sun shines all day long. And here the sun shines on the first floor exactly 55 seconds a day. That is, at high noon and on a fine summer's day. But scenes like these are becoming scarcer. What people want is beauty. While beauty poses, men seek their pleasures in various forms. The excitement or the relaxation of a card game, or the thrill and satisfaction of creating. All this is Berlin. But West Berlin is more. It's a city that lives because of the Allied powers, and one that believes in the Western word. A strange city, including 4-power buildings of a bygone age, and a Soviet war memorial that is heedfully guarded by British troops. But 24 hours in Berlin also include the communist wall, the barriers and barbed wire that have torn friends and families apart. It also includes a bridge, referred to by the communists as the Bridge of Unity, which paradoxically does not link, but divides man from man. It also includes the Church of Reconciliation, at least that's its name, whose congregation was divided by the wall. And it also includes memorials to many killed while seeking freedom. After a day's tour, it is easily understood why Berlin is called a city of bridges. Not only 100 more than Venice, not only Europe's largest urban bridge, but some of the smallest and most picturesque. But despite its serenity, we shall have to go, for we've got 2 more stops before meeting a VIP. First stop, the Academy of Arts, a popular cultural center made possible through the generosity of an American-born Berlin. Second stop, a factory concerned with the practical arts, this one, pipe making. And now for our VIP, Herbert von Karajan, the brilliant conductor of Berlin's celebrated Philharmonic Orchestra, talking to Wolfgang Stresemann, the orchestra's business manager. Nearby is the Spree River, which is part of a system of waterways linking practically the entire continent. Connected with the Oder and Elbe rivers, it is the old junction of the trade routes from the Baltic coast to the west and south of Germany. Berlin is historically and geographically the crossroads of Europe. Its central position made it the intersection of communications linking France, Italy, and the Danube area with Scandinavia on the one hand, and Paris and Moscow on the other. A metropolis in the natural sense of the word. But a metropolis consists of more than that. It includes the old who dream of yesterday, the energetic who work for today, the busy who fly for tomorrow, and the, well, yes, those who just play. Not far from the swimming pool, yet bordering the wall, is this workshop, which is worth seeing and not open to everyone. Here the finest of stained glass and mosaic creations take shape. Whether religious or secular, these are treasures that are sought literally throughout the world. But there are other things worth seeing. For example, the Botanical Garden, in its 110 acres and 14,000 different plants, attracts people from everywhere, except Berlin. It would seem as if the Berliner had no real eye for goldenrod or silver birch, but likes his beauty in bronze. This workshop overlooks Berlin's busiest harbor, important since 1/3 of local requirements come by water. But Berlin's waters have many faces and serve many purposes. While this plane is ready to fly anywhere at any time, this one is confined to a fixed course and a definite schedule. It's the 4 o'clock clipper to New York. "4 o'clock? Well, let's not lose time. We still got lots to see this afternoon. First, there's the outdoor picture market, Berlin's Petit Montmartre, where the hungry artists fight for a place in the sun. And then there's the National Gallery, where we can see not only dozens of Dürer's and Rubens' best, but the world's largest single collection of Rembrandt oils. The National Gallery also houses one of the world's rarest pieces of art, the 3,300-year-old bust of the Egyptian queen Nefertiti, whose popularity obviously knows no end. While such original reproductions find a ready market, there are other originals that remain original. Nowadays, people don't dig up the past, unless they are archaeologists looking for an old Roman bath in a Wendish settlement. But Berlin has an immediate past which cannot be forgotten. Nearby is the Maria Regina Martyrum, a Catholic church to commemorate the victims of Nazi Germany. Berlin is the seat of the German Foundation for Developing Countries and a lively center of theoretical aid and practical training. Here, experiences are exchanged with leading personalities from Africa, Asia, and such as these from the Latin American countries. Specialists, such as this group of North African police officials, are only too pleased to study the methods employed in Berlin.
Et je vous remercie que vous avez accepté notre invitation.
Above all, Berlin is a center of sports, and there's always something going on. Qualifications for the Olympic riders, and qualifications of a different sort. With 30% of this city consisting of rivers and lakes, parks and forests, it presents the ideal place for holidays, not only for the rich and racy, but for others as well. Speaking of racing, the Berliner loves this sport in any form. Whether bicycles or motorcycles, horses or cars, speedboats or sprinters, for him it's all the same. And today, for example, they're training for the coming auto race. It's no wonder that people have to be warned about speeding. But there are those who just won't learn, or maybe he's behind time too, or thrilled by Berlin's new system of freeways. Supplemented by first-class auxiliary roads, This system of some 100 miles is to ensure safe and rapid communications to the city outskirts on the one hand, and from borough to borough on the other. The beauty of this network is that there are no distractions. Well, hardly any. In any case, the road did get us to our next stop, the official residence in Berlin of the President of the German Federal Republic. Berlin's architecture has many faces, with something for most any taste. It's a pity that we haven't time to see the inside of the Benjamin Franklin Congress Hall, but we have another pressing appointment. Yours truly, Willy Brandt. Willy Brandt? How do you do? My name is Willy Brandt. Well, now that the business day is done, the rush hour begins again. But despite the mad rush, there are still those who know how to escape it all. The aquarium keeper in search of flies, the bookworm in search of knowledge, or the barfly just in search of dreams. Outside, there's still an atmosphere of coming and going. Berlin is once again a focal point of international conventions and conferences. While many visitors fly in, the vast majority come by road and rail. Once here, they want to experience everything. One thing is certain. There are always last-minute purchases of tickets to the theater, to the boxing match, or the concert. Some, however, just want to visit their favorite retreat. Speciality here? Not this, but that. But don't imagine that everyone is eating or finished with work. In the world of film, things are still humming. Light entertainment is being cooked up for television, and with only 2 national networks, this dish is hardly avoidable. But we're back where we started, even if it is with another form of gastritis. It's just after 8, and we're still in Berlin. While sundown is a romantic moment for some, for others it means but ham and eggs. These are the people behind the scenes, representative of countless services which make a day in Berlin worthwhile. Services that extend from sunup to lights on. As the theater ones are dimmed, while the Schiller Theater is featuring the 12th Night, in another, the curtain is going up on the Oppenheimer case. Always a city of theaters, in the 19th century, Berlin had as many as 80 different houses. However, things have changed with the years, and today West Berlin has only 17 legitimate theaters. The movie houses, of course, are more numerous than in the 19th century, despite TV. At this hour, Berlin's picture is like a fascinating mosaic. While Dr. Martin Luther King speaks in the new Philharmonic Hall, outside, the fountains are at play. While the fountains are content to play, people have just got to fight. Some with gloves and some without. Berlin's refreshing atmosphere has made it a city of fashionable elegance. This is not only reflected in the creations of its leading designers, but finds expression in the entire clothing industry. The later the evening, the more exotic the food. But 20 let alone the others. Berlin, like most big cities, has a wealth of international restaurants, so good that everyone wants to eat everyone else's food. The Chinese prefer to eat French, the French Italian, the Italians Romanian, and the Romanians Russian. Who eats the Chinese? Well, the Berliners, of course. And what's cooking here? Just a few old numbers being warmed up. But internationalism does not end with food. There is music, too, such as the Anglo-American My Fair Lady, Cavalier, just to mention a couple that please. Just like music, Berlin's Main Street, Kurfürstendamm, has its own unique rhythm, which is at its best after the concert halls, the theaters, and the movies have closed for the night. For most people, the day is nearly done. For most. But then we've only 24 hours to spend. While some people prefer their pretty stars close at hand, others take the distant view. Like astronomers, the newspaper compositors view the universe with an air of detachment. They've closed down for the night, the world can go to bed. But the world consists of more than compositors or astronomers. There are the rock and rollers. And while they dig in for the night, outside there is digging of a different type. But why they should want to build at night is beyond me. After all, there's no traffic to disrupt, and it's hardly the right temperature for beer. Perhaps they just want to build. Well, it looks like another end of a hard day's night. Not only are the clubs closing, but it's surprising how many people can still afford to eat. Yes, for some it's the end of a hard day's night. For others, just the beginning of a shift. Night work not only pays well, but with some it's a popular form of occupation. And so is this. For the police, this is no hour of rest. And for the others, it's just a restless hour. Whether these 24 hours have brought romance or not is difficult to say. In any case, when the Lonely Heart Club dims its lights, our day is nearly done. There is little more to see. Or is there? And while the curtain goes down on this act, a new one is beginning. At the checkpoints, milk supplies are rolling in for a city so dependent on its lifelines with the West. At the wholesale meat market, the chops are in the process of being brought one step closer to the frying pan. And the hustle and the bustle of the flower market tells us that man does not live by bread alone. Whether an old day has come to an end or another has begun is really hard to tell. One just seemed to blend into the other, as should be in any living city. For today is yesterday, and 100 days before, this city will produce its steel for its buildings of tomorrow. Like every day, the fisherman will set out for his haul and hope for a better world to come. A simple world in which there are just lots of fish and freedom is as natural as the rising sun. Every dawn, the forestry keeper will start his rounds and lead us into a new day. A new day, another day. Just 24 hours in Berlin.